Good evening. Welcome to PoliticIt podcast. We got Trent Staggs here today and Coach Tuberville, Senator Tuberville.
I'd much rather be called Coach, I promise. And everybody in the Senate calls me Coach.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, if they holler Senator, you got 99 people that turn around and look at you. If you holler Coach, only one person turns around. That's me.
That's cool.
But I feel comfortable with the footballs here behind me and all that.
Yeah, you've got the U back there in Weber State, so I wouldn't let them put an Auburn ball there.
Well,
sorry,
right. But I've coached,
because I was at Ole Miss when you were there. But
they should love me here in the state because I think I've coached 5 or 6 games in goose egg. I was not successful in any of those games, but I did win the Heisman Trophy for Ty Dittmer back in early 80s, 90s. I was the defensive coordinator at Miami. We were ranked number 1. We came in and played Trent when he was a senior. Lavelle Edwards was a good friend, and I could not stop the kid. I mean, it was unbelievable. I tried, and we had great athletes, and we lost the game. And he won the Heisman Trophy in that one game because he outmaneuvered some of the best athletes to ever play the game.
And you were
I was a defensive coordinator. I put the game plan together. So,
wow.
But I tried it all. But what an athlete
well,
he was.
You know what? It's good you said that because now people aren't going to feel so bad about you being in Utah. Right?
Well, I love it here. I've had a good time. Every time I did games for ESPN here, as we talked, I did the Holy War one year as an announcer, and I enjoy coming to Utah. It's a beautiful, it's clean looking, the fresh air,
So what brings a guy like you from Alabama to promote Trent Staggs?
Our country's in trouble. We're in bad trouble. And so I've taken 6 or 7 states as a senator, only been there for 3 years. We've got 49 senators on the Republican side, but only less than half of those are really true conservatives that God, family, country. And we've got to get back to our country. We got to get back to God. We got to get back to family, and we got to push those. And so when President Trump runs and wins, and by the way, I've done my homework on every state, and Trent's the guy that stands up above all else that he's for President Trump. Now, I know President Trump, a lot of people don't like some of the things he says or how he acts or whatever. He's a leader. And folks, if we don't get a leader as president for the next 4 years, this country will not survive as what we know it and it's what we grew up in. But I did the background on Trent and the other people in the race. He fits what we need in the Senate to put us over the mark in terms of majority in our side as Republicans. We have to be able to control the Senate as Christian conservatives, guys like Mike Lee, guys like Ted Budd from North Carolina, who we got in, J.D. Vance. We have got some superstars. We don't have enough of them on the Republican side. We got a lot of rhinos, and Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, some people that are going to vote with the Democrats a lot of the times. We have to save the country by voting for the taxpayers.
We have a senator here in Utah that does that sometimes.
Yeah. Mitt has voted the other way quite a few times, but he's not running. But Trent would be a huge asset. And again, I wouldn't be 2,000 miles away from home today here helping him, and eventually we'll get even more involved, try to get him across the goal line. We have to have people like him.
Yeah, that's real humbling. I mean, I really appreciate Coach and his endorsement and ability to come out here, and he's one that I admire. He's somebody I want to be able to emulate in the United States Senate, be able to work with, and so
So what attracted you to Coach? What are some of the things that he's doing that you think are really good for our country?
Well, he's just stood up time and time again. I mean, look at what he did with respect to this Biden administration trying to make it so that they would pay taxpayer-funded abortion.
In the military.
In the military.
Yeah.
That is exactly what he stood up to. And
that was pretty strong.
And I fought against the Republicans with this too now. But, and Trent knows, I didn't go up there to be like everybody. I went up there to help Americans in our Constitution. And he's exactly right. I don't care if they vote for me or not back now. And I've told them that. I'm going to go vote for you. You might not know it, but I'm going to go vote for you and for the values for our families and our country.
And that's exactly what I like about that. I mean, I've heard him say that Democrat, Republican, I'm an American, and we're going to advance America first principles and America first agenda. And that's exactly what we need. I mean, we just don't have enough of those in the U.S. Senate. Like you said, maybe of our Republican caucus there's half that fit that bill, and we need more. That's what I'm so excited about, because me going back there, being able to join Coach and others like him, I think there's enough finally with this election year, 2024. That's why it's so important we get President Trump back in office, and then we have this group of America First constitutional conservatives that are going to go back there, be able to work with him and advance that agenda. We need it. Our country is literally at the brink. That's the main reason I'm running this race. I took a hard look at it, my wife and I did, and we just said, you know what? Not on my watch. That was the phrase that we used. We're blessed. We're in a position to do something. And I didn't contemplate running more than 2 terms as mayor in Riverton. And so this race kept coming back to us, and it's something that we feel like we need to do. And we're all in.
That's good. You know, you guys just came off of a rally out at the Baptist Church in Layton, right?
We did.
And you know, one of the things my wife actually called me on the phone right after the thing, and she said one of the things that touched her was when you have a copy of the Constitution in one hand, what was in the other?
Bible.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's interesting because I lived in the South for a long time, and that plays well in the South. I don't know why it doesn't play as well in Utah. What do you think? Why do you think our culture is a little bit different about that? Because we certainly are Bible believing people, right?
I think there's a hesitation. You know, you hear this term separation of church and state. I've actually said we need the separation between woke and state. It's been on my website for the last 10 months since I've been campaigning. I think people are waking up though to the fact that no, we don't need a revolution. We need a restoration. We need to be able to get back to our founding principles, and we're all based on Christian and biblical principles. And more people are, I think, waking up to that and know that we need to get back involved because they're seeing all this craziness. They're seeing the DEI and CRT and all these things that are infiltrated our school, our military, and people realize that they need to be able to do something. They need to be able to step up, because although we believe and we know that we have inalienable rights, right, to life, liberty, and property in pursuit of happiness, those inalienable rights that come from our Creator, they're politically protected. And so if they sit on the sidelines too long, we're going to lose it. And they're starting to sense that. So I think the Constitution, they're reawakening to the fact that we need people that understand the Constitution, but also have biblical principles.
And you got to fight for it. Moral values have plummeted. It's a shame what I've seen in our country. And of course, I traveled all 50 states recruiting as a coach and going into houses and schools and stuff. It's a crying shame what we've done to our country. And, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it if we don't recognize it and start making changes now. We can't wait another 4 years, 4 more years of this nonsense of transgenders, boys playing in women's sports. Are you kidding me? Men having babies. They're trying to push that on us. It's sad to where we've got to our morals. And I've told Trent this. I got an R by my name, right? I'm a Republican. I'm really not. I'm an American. And there's Democrats. But I look at you're either American or you're anti-American. And we got a lot of anti-Americans. And it's not that they don't like our country. They want to change it something totally different than you and I grew up in.
Yeah.
And we had that opportunity. And we've got to stop the train going. We're 248 years. We won't make it to 250 if we don't get Donald Trump and guys like Trent in office to slow this down, to give American people time to adjust, going, wait a minute, what's going on? 35 trillion in debt? Our roads ought to be made of gold. We ought to have fast trains across the country. You know how much 35 trillion is? And we've wasted it on wars and giveaways and nonsense. And American people don't deserve it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back.
It's been said that Americans used to roar like lions for liberty, but now we bleat like sheep for security. This happened because the establishment in both parties care more about maintaining their power than unleashing American liberty. But this stops today. We're the only ones in this race that were willing to take on Mitt Romney. I want you all to remember that. We've done 50 plus town halls like this across the state with great patriots like yourself, and he went down to about 30% favorability amongst Republican voters, and primary voters in particular. And was it any surprise that he said, I'm not going to seek re-election? It wasn't to me. And so it's very simple. If you want another Mitt Romney, don't vote for me. If you want another Mike Lee, I'm your guy.
Welcome back to PoliticIt. Again, we got Trent Staggs here, but Coach Tuberville's along. I really should say Senator Tuberville, but
No, you're right. Long way from home, but
Yeah.
glad to be here.
yeah. Well, Trent, let's go back to some of the other issues that you've got this contract with Utah.
I do.
I think it's clever. What are some of the things in there that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, and I came out with that back in October, and it's really been informed by all the town halls that I've had, right? We've gone out there, 50 plus town halls, and folks, in talking to them, I hear about the budget. We need a balanced budget. That's on there. They also say we need somebody with strength that's going to stand up and not just continue to vote for these omnibus spending bills and continuing resolution. So I commit not to vote for one of those. We got to get back to process. I also talk about banning the trading of individual stocks from members of Congress and their family. We want to put a 10-year ban on exiting members of Congress and high-ranking government officials from actually becoming a lobbyist or becoming a defense contractor or others. And that's something that I think will really fundamentally change our system, because it needs to be. It's broken. And that's where I've also been calling for new leadership in the Senate, and glad to hear that Mitch McConnell is not going to be seeking a leadership role come January, and I'll have an opportunity.
So where do you see that going?
Well, we need a change. He's been there 40 years. Leader McConnell's done some good things. Been around for a long time. He's in his 80s. It's time. He had a bad accident last year. He fell, hurt his head, and we've seen moments where he just froze on camera. Not a good look. We got one guy in the White House right now like that, and he's got to go too. So he decided to step down. Trent will have an opportunity to vote on the new leader right after the election next year, and I want all new leadership. I want people that are in leadership that have new ideas. You know, you have a leadership group of about 6 or 7 people, and I think some of them have some good ideas. But we have guys like Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul. I mean, we got people that are on the conservative side, and again, that's
And like you, are willing to stand up to.
and that's what I was telling you. The vote is between the Republican senators. We get in, we vote on all leadership, and that's the reason I'm going to 6 or 7 states, pushing guys that I know are Trump people, like Trent, and also conservative that's going to vote to get a leader in there that's going to push conservative Christian values. Because if you don't do that, we're going to end up with the Mitt Romneys and the McConnells. I mean, the days of old. It's time to change course. And if we don't do it now, it's not going to ever happen.
Yeah. Well, another thing you talk about a lot is the border, too. What do we do there?
That's right. I mean, I don't think it's not rocket science. We've seen the Biden administration completely undo everything that President Trump had done so successfully. Get back to building the wall, remain in Mexico. I think E-Verify is a big component of that too. Let's stop the benefits that so many states and others are giving. That's also magnetizing so many illegal immigrants. But first and foremost, you've got to shut down the border. This is having ramifications in our state, even though we're not right up against the border. But I talked to ICE, the Salt Lake City field office director here, who said he's working 150,000 active cases in Utah. And we've got a serious problem, and it trickles down into communities where I'm mayor. The reason the ICE director wanted to talk to me is because of all the crime, the increase in crime, and horrifically the increase in sexual assault too
Throughout the state.
throughout the state.
So
And this is not just this is an invasion. I've been down there several times. We've got people coming in from now that they're emptying their prisons, Venezuela. The crime is just, you think we have crime now? It's going to take President Trump probably a good first half of his term to clean this up, maybe even longer. That's the reason we need a real good, strong vice president to take over after him. But he's already said he's going to load the planes up and ship them out. They got to go home. They got to go back. We cannot, number one, the taxpayers can't afford it. We can't afford the crime. We've had 50,000 Chinese come here in the last 6 months. You think they're coming here for a better job? And last time I heard, they got a great wall out there. It's hard to get out of China unless they allow you to go for a reason. And they're coming for a reason. And our job is to protect the American citizens, and we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, number one job, number one role of government, right? And the Biden administration is failing at it completely. And I think this is a sad situation where the federal government has expanded and doing so much more than our founders ever envisioned, that they're failing to do many of the things that we the people have given them in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. And immigration is one of those. We've got to get back. We've got to have President Trump back in office. He's got a great plan he's wanting to put in place, and we got to have senators that are going to support that effort, not go back there like Mitt Romney did and not support him on the wall. He ended up voting for Secretary Mayorkas too, who's been a complete disaster. I mean, incompetence doesn't even begin to describe this person.
It's criminal what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah. So where do you go now? I mean, what do you see happening? We've got a state convention coming up.
Yeah, no, this is going to be, we're doing probably 40 plus town halls between now and the convention, April 27th. So we're going. I think we are the favorite at the convention. We're going to win there. I know there's a number of other people that have announced, but our message is really resonating with the delegates. They really appreciate the fact that I got into the race when I did. I'm the only one in the race that was willing to challenge Mitt Romney, and we did it from day one, and calling out his record, and letting people know, giving him a clear choice, right? That I will not be a Mitt Romney 2.0. I'm going to be like Mike Lee and Senator Tuberville here. These are the people I want to be able to work with, align myself with, and so we're making that message known to the delegates that don't yet know us. We expect to win at convention, and then we've got our primary June 25th. There have been some others that have gathered signatures, and so we'll have a balloted primary come June 25th, and we expect to have all the momentum there and also the resources to be able to get the message out more.
And why aren't you gathering signatures?
Yeah. Well, I made a commitment day one not to. I think this is the Mike Lee way. This is the way it was done for him back in 2010, and I just disagree with it fundamentally. I think that the caucus convention system is the best way by which we can nominate our candidates. You've got the most informed voters there making the decision on behalf of their neighborhoods and representing their neighborhood precincts. And so I committed to that day one. We had enough resources and money. I could have gone out and bought signatures like some folks are doing, but I'm a man of my word, and I said this is the process we're going through, and we're saving those resources to go up, and we'll be able to effectively compete against some establishment opponents that I've got in this race.
So, Senator Tuberville, have you got some advice for Trent?
Well,
in terms of winning this election.
Let me tell you, and I've told Trent this, hardest thing I ever done, and I've done a lot of things in my life. My gosh, I was not going to let them beat me. I ran against 2 sitting congressmen, a sitting senator. I ran against Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Everybody knew who I was, but they had to know why I was doing it. And so I touched every hand I possibly could in the state for 2 years. My wife said, my God, you're ever going to come home? And I went every day. And he's got to do the same thing.
Well, and the coach touches a lot of hands in the state, right?
You've got to believe in what you're doing. I want to say this, too. People think, well, do we need a lot of clones up there like Mike Lee? Listen, I'm totally different from Mike Lee, but I believe in the same things. And we as a group of about 15 to 20 get together on every Monday. And we know the problems. We all sometimes have different ideas how to solve that problem for the American people. So don't think we're all the same. I mean, it becomes almost a fist fight sometimes. Hey, we need to do it this way. It's like a coach, and you get all your coaches together and say, okay, we're playing Alabama this week. Coach, I think we ought to run this formation, that formation. We need to run this play this defense. At the end of the day, you all have to believe in the same thing once you come out of those meetings. And that's what we do. We're for the American people. We're not for lobbyists or any of those people. Do the right thing. Again, if my people don't like me at home in Alabama, please vote me out and I will come home. But I am going to fight while I'm there. And Trent's going to do the same thing. And if he doesn't, I'm going to bring him home myself. I mean, we have got, there's no second chance. And then I got 5 or 6 other senators I'm going to try to do the same thing with. I'm going to Arizona tomorrow. Then I've got Ohio. And we are pushing hard on the people we know support President Trump and then support the Constitution and everybody around. And and work for a new America, because it's not new. It's just getting back to the old America.
I love what he said there, because that's the same philosophy I've had as a mayor. If people don't want to vote me back in, then don't. And I've worked every single day for every single one of our community members, our residents, to do the best job that I can. And they've reelected me. And I'm going to do the same thing in the U.S. Senate for the entirety of the state of Utah. This is an opportunity we have. If people look at my record in Riverton and look what I've done, go talk to our residents, I think they'll find a high level of comfort with me representing them in the U.S. Senate, going back there and really doing exactly what Coach just said.
So we're out of time. Why don't you take one last look in that camera and ask people to vote for you? Why should they?
I'm Trent Staggs. I'm running for United States Senate, and I am a lifelong Utahn from elementary school to graduate school. I've attended Utah schools. I love this state, and my wife and I have been blessed to have two wonderful children. I have a 14-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter, and we've for the last 10, now going on 11 years, been able to serve my community of Riverton. And I've worked incredibly hard to take a entrepreneurial approach to city government. We need that. Somebody who understands local governance. Local governance is what governs best. That's what our founders believed. I'm going to take that perspective back to Washington, D.C. What's typified my 10 years in office has been one that's always stood up to the establishment. That's what we need now more than ever. That's really what it is up to you, the voters, to decide. Do you want to replace Mitt Romney with a Mitt Romney 2.0? Or do we want another constitutional conservative, another Mike Lee? That's what I would give you, is another Mike Lee, and be able to go back there and fight for us and get this country back on track. We can do it, and we can do it with President Trump back in office day one.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.